up guys, welcome to another episode of The Handy Life. Today we're going to be working on this recess in the wall. I've already started it, as you can see. This is really a good spot to make like an entertainment system, which is what we're going to do. We're going to have a big TV on these cabinets, shelving going up around it. But let me talk about what I've done so far to kind of get you up to speed a little bit. We've got approximately 100-inch wide recess right here. So that was perfect for me to fit three 33-inch wide kitchen cabinets. So that's what these are, as kitchen cabinets. They're the same ones we have over in the kitchen on the other side of this room. And yeah, they fit perfectly. I had to put a couple of filler strips on each end to fill the gaps because, like I said, 33 inches, 100 inches. So we had about an inch left over, so about a ½ inch on each side. And a filler strip, if you don't know what it is just another piece of wood that's finished to the same finish as the cabinet front, and you attach it. I like to attach it before I put the cabinet in place, but you attach it right to the side of the face frame. So the face frame is what's right behind what the cabinets or doors are attached to. You attach the filler strips to that, slide it in, and then you can caulk it up, and it'll be like there's no gap there at all. I'm not going to go through all the details of putting cabinets in, but for now I'll just say, if you're doing something like this, you want to check the floor for level, you want to find where your studs are, and one of the biggest tips I think is you attach the cabinets to themselves. If you're using multiple cabinets, you attach the cabinets to themselves before you attach them to the wall. So I have screws driven through the face frame. So this is a joint between two cabinets. This is one cabinet, this is the next, and that's the third cabinet. So this joint right here, I have screws going through the face frame that attaches the cabinet together. That way I can make sure the face frame fronts of the cabinets are perfectly flush and level and don't have any gaps all the way down. And then I attach it to the wall at the end, and you use shims and things to shim it up for level, or if the wall's not straight, then you deal with those kind of things like that. But yeah, that's that. Then we put a piece of plywood up on top. I put a piece of 3/4 inch by 1.5 inch pine on the front to cap it off. It's gonna look nice. We're gonna finish it with paint. We're gonna paint it white, same colors as what the cabinets came with. And you can probably see the backdrop on the wall here that we did. Let me talk a little bit about that. So we had a plan to put like a pallet board or like a shiplap on the wall. And they sell this already, pre-manufactured stuff where you just, some of it actually has sticky tape on the back and you just take it off and plank by plank, you put it on the wall and assemble a backdrop like this. That stuff is pretty expensive. We came to find it was something like $3 or $4 a square foot, which adds up really quickly when you got 40 or 50 square feet like we have here. So we just didn't want to spend that money. I think it might have even been more than that. Maybe like closer to $7 or $8 a square foot. So that was quickly a turn off to going that route. And then I did get a couple of old pallets thinking, oh man, I could use this wood. I think it would have been difficult to get this sort of a look, and I'm happy with it the way it is now. So what we got instead, we went to Home Depot and we found that they sell this 1/4 inch like MDF sheeting panels that actually are printed already with basically the same type of look that we wanted to go with, this old weathered wood look. And it's kind of glazed to where if you look at it with the right reflection of the sunlight, it does look like it's individual panels of wood. So I mean, it looks pretty good. So it comes like this, and then you got to deal with, well, 4x8, it would have been great if they would have put the direction of the wood horizontal so you had 8 foot of run to play with. Of course, they put it where it was going across the 4-foot section of a 4x8 sheet. So that's not going to fit this. Even an 8 foot wouldn't have fit it. It's 96 inches. This is 100 inches wide. So there had to be seams is what I'm trying to get at. There had to be seams somewhere. So you just have to decide where your seams are going to be. My seams, I put one right here because that's where the shelving's going to go. So we're going to have a vertical piece that covers this gap here. So I wasn't too concerned that there's a gap. Same thing over here. Going to be the shelf going up on this side, and then, like I said, a big TV in the middle, and then there'll be a shelf going across here. This gap for the TV is large. It's something like 58 inches. So even that, I've only got 48 inches wide on the paneling. So even that, I needed a seam. So I put one And I made sure that I lined up horizontally these boards, and I wanted to try as best I could to get the colors to match up. And if you ever do something like this, you understand what I mean, but you want these colors to match up as best you can. In some places I wasn't able to, but as long as they match up from a distance, it will look like they are seamless and there is no seam. The last thing that I want to talk about before we go on to the next bit of work on what's going to be going forward is this arc. This is kind of a cool little nook right here, and anytime you're doing cutouts for arcs, like if you're doing siding and you have some kind of circular window or something that you need to cut that siding to, one good way to do it, and I guess there's a couple, but the way that I do this stuff and the way I did it here was I use a compass. So just a basic compass, like this. And what you do is you put your board in position. In this case, my little 1/4 inch piece of MDF. You put it in position, and I can put it something like this. And then, by the way, before you put it in position, the height of the board that you're using in this case is going to be the maximum height within that area that board's going to be located. So if it was one of these center pieces, that would be this height. So that's how long I would cut that board. And then I have to worry about cutting off the excess to actually fit the arc. So that's what we do here. So basically you put your compass in a position up here and you adjust it based on how far that gap is away from the ceiling. Because that gap, in this case, when I'm on this side, is going to be the highest point of this piece of board. And then you run your compass along like that, and you'll naturally get that arc. And then you can go ahead and make your cut. So that works pretty good, and it's one of the better ways that I know how to do it. Otherwise, you'd be looking at getting a piece of cardboard and cutting it out and trying to get it to fit just right. So anyway, that's where we are right now. What we got going on in the future, and I'm probably going to zip through this with a time-lapse video for a lot of it at least, is I'm going to build a shelf here with 3 shelves for knickknacks and things. And then we'll have a shelf going across the top, and then 3 shelves on this side as well. They won't be adjustable, they'll be fixed shelves. I'm going to use very similar construction techniques that I used in some of the other videos that are posted on the site for closets and things, where I use the actual vertical piece of plywood to support by just setting the shelf onto that piece of plywood and then running it across. It's going to look pretty good at the end of it all. And I think I'll stop as we go and show you a couple things as we do it. All right, guys, here's my dado setup. Here's how I'm gonna make that dado into this vertical piece of wood. This is the piece of wood that separates the shelving from the TV again. This is where I'm gonna make my dado. So I know I want my shelf height to be 36 inches from the top of the cabinets. Well, the measurement from here to the end of this board where it's gonna rest on the top of the cabinets is 36 inches. I'm gonna double up my wood, so instead of having just a 3/4 inch gap where I'm going to put the dado, I'm actually going to go 1.5 inches because it's going to be 2 pieces of plywood stacked on top of each other and put into this dado. Now, how do you make a straight dado into plywood? Well, that's why we're having this short segment of a video. First, you need a router. I've got a 3/4 inch router bit on here, and you have to set it to a depth where you're going to make your cut into your plywood at the depth that you want, basically. So the next step is to figure out how to actually get a nice straight edge here. To do that, you use a guide. In this case, I've got a piece of this pine select wood that I know the edge of is really straight. So I'm going to use that as my guide. You have to know where to set it though, where to put that guide. And to do that, I just sort of eyeballed it. I put my router down on the workpiece where I want to make that cut, and just to see where my slide plate on the bottom of the router is gonna rest. It's gonna rest about right where the tip of my fingernail is. So I put a mark there, drew a line straight across. That should give me a pretty good cut path and match this line pretty well. If it doesn't, I can make a minor adjustment after that. But then you put your fence basically on the line, clamp it down. Got these nice, speedy, quick grip Irwin grip clamps that work really well for this. Clamp it down, and there's your setup. So you come back with your router, plug it in, run it right along the fence, and you'll get a nice straight edge. All right, I think you can see that the thing is taking shape. We got a big opening for our TV, our shelves on each side. Let's come a little closer and see what I did. So you saw the time lapse, similar construction to what I've done in the other videos I've posted of closet work and things on YouTube. These are supported by the verticals themselves. I doubled up everything, so it's going to be really beefy, but really it's just going to look elegant. There's not going to be any kind of a gap or any sort of an overhang with the cap piece that I put here. It's going to be nice and flush with top and bottom, which is going to look good. Let's see. We can also see how I fit the board into the dado slot that I made in the wood here. It was a really tight fit on this side, so I had to bang it a bit. It makes it look really fast in the time lapse, but it did take a while to hit that in. But yeah, it's coming out really nice. I'm liking the way it's looking so far, and we are going to proceed now with the pine strips as well. One thing you probably didn't notice very much of me doing in the video was changing out my brad sizes. So I've got 2-inch brads and I've got 1 1/4 inch. Anytime I needed to go through just 2 pieces of plywood, I needed to switch to the 1 1/4 inch because the 2-inch would shoot right through. You got to pay attention to that. I didn't initially, and you know, it almost bit me because I grazed my finger just a little bit right there as I was shooting what I thought was 1 1/4 inch nails through here, and it shot through the other side. So you just got to be careful, work slow. Sometimes when you're using a brad gun like this Ryobi, a couple of nails will be stuck, will get stuck right near the point where they get shot out of the gun. So even if you change and you think you've gotten them all out, you may not have, and you may have a couple lingering in there that are longer or shorter than what you intended. So you may want to shoot a couple, and just on the side in a scrap piece of wood. Sometimes that's faster than going through the hassle of taking the top off and checking to see if you've gotten them all out. But yeah, I think that's about it. Anytime you do shoot, I'll mention this as well. Anytime you do shoot a nail through and you need to pull it out, you may have seen me doing this. I was using a channel locks right now just because I can't find the pliers that I normally like to use for that. But you also want to use a spackling knife of some sort. This one's kind of small. Yeah, usually I use a little bit bigger one. But that allows you to put it on the board itself and distribute the load, because otherwise you're going to have a point load from the channel locks here, and as you rotate you're going to make a nice divot into your wood, which you don't want. So that's a good little handy tip, is use this, put it behind there so that it rests up against here, and you don't get that point loading that's going to result in divots that are going to look bad later. Alright, we're all taped out. It's go time with the painting. Alright guys, we put that Kills primer on here. It's just a basic latex primer. And then we came back with 2 coats of Benjamin Moore white trim paint. It's their Advanced Series semi-gloss. And looks awesome, you know, not much to complain about here. The finish is really smooth and clean. In between the primer coat and the finish coats, we did run a sanding sponge in a few spots where it was especially rough, and then wiped everything down before applying the final coat. But the best part about this, to me, this whole setup, is just this contrast. I mean, this white, sharp white, very smooth, shiny finish, right up against this old looking wood back paneling that we have. Came out awesome. So really happy with that. Let's see what it looks like with the TV in place to give you the final look. It's a heavy TV. Alright, so yeah, we got a couple inches on each side like we planned for. And there she is. Couple inches each side, a few inches on the top. We'll put all kinds of photo albums and knickknacks on the shelves. But this is the new and improved entertainment area in the house. This is gonna now be the focal point. Whereas before we used to always watch our TV upstairs because we didn't really do anything with this nook ever. But now that we built it out, man, does it look awesome. I'm so happy with this. I hope you learned something about this. This construction, you've seen me use it many times. I could do pull-ups on this. It is so sturdy. And the advantage, you don't have to put cleats to support all these shelves, so everything looks sharp and everyone's gonna sit there looking at your shelves like, how the heck are those even supported? Did you just like toenail them in? Of course not. We supported them with the actual wood itself, so it's really strong, way stronger than any kind of cleat construction would be. And it's so simple. I mean, it's so easy to do this construction. You don't really have to be super skilled or have all these fancy tools, expensive tools. You can buy the cheap stuff, make your dollar go a lot longer way and still get good quality work. So all told, for this, we use a lot of plywood. For this, I think we use 4 or 5 sheets. The birch plywood is pretty expensive. I think it's about 50 bucks a sheet at Home Depot for the 3/4 inch birch. And yeah, so I think we probably spent around $250, $300, something like that for the whole project, including the paint. And couldn't be happier with that.